Bing bongy bong, bing bongy bong. This is Joe, the bearded historian. He'll tell you an interesting history. Be careful of his soldiers, they can be brats. This is Angel, she's an entity. She'll cause chaos and plant her hands at you. This is Sue, she likes spirits, not the alcohol. She's the reason this channel exists. This is David, he likes fire trucks. He's here occasionally. Bing bongy bong, bing bongy bong, bing bongy bong. We preserve his story. I almost forgot the shout out video, guys. I did. I don't know. I'm tired. Construction is going on outside and it's driving me insane. Anyway, shout out time. Here's a shout out just for you. You support me, so I support you. This shout out is for our friend. Let's spin the wheel of death. Or, wheel of shout out. Shout out wheel. Wheel of thank yous. Andy and Rachel. Hang on a minute. Alright, Andy and Rachel have been together for 5 years. And all of them have been filled with crazy adventures, which is great. Traveling around the world, living in a tiny house in a jungle, which brave souls, and building a wedding photography business, raising 3 girls and a kitty. Their kitty is cute, and apparently likes snow. They're a fun couple. Check them out. Like, share, comment. Let them know that we sent you by. Have a good day. Alright, Mr. Joseph, try number 2.
Try to take number 2. Now, here in February, we have Black History Month. And like everything else, I like to do a little digging. Because, well, history is history, like it or not. Now, Black History Month, originally, was only a week long. Precursor was created in 1926 in the U.S. when historian Carter G. Woodson and the Association for the Study of Negro Life and History announced the second week of February to be Negro History Week. This week was chosen because it coincided with the birthday of Abraham Lincoln on February the 12th and that of Frederick Douglass, who was born on February the 14th, both of which black communities have celebrated since the late 19th century. For example, in January of 1897, schoolteacher Mary Church Terrell persuaded the Washington, D.C. School Board to set aside the afternoon of Douglas's birthday for Douglas Day to teach about his life and work in the city's segregated public schools. The thought process behind the week was never recorded, but scholars acknowledge 2 reasons for its birth: recognition and importance. In 1915, Woodson had participated in the Lincoln Jubilee, a celebration of the 50 years since emancipation from slavery was held in Bronzeville, Chicago. This summer-long jubilee, which drew thousands of attendees from across the country to see exhibitions of heritage and culture, impressed Woodson with the need to draw organized focus to the history of black people. He led the founding of the ASNLH that fall. Early in the event's history, African-American newspapers lent crucial support. From the event's initial phase, primary emphasis was placed on encouraging the coordinated teaching of the history of black Americans in the nation's public schools. The first Negro History Week was met with a lukewarm response, gaining the cooperation of departments of education from the states of North Carolina, Delaware, and West Virginia, as well as the city school administrations in Baltimore, New York City, Philadelphia, and Washington, D.C. Despite this limited observance, Woodson regarded the event as one of the most fortunate steps ever taken by the association, and the plans for an annual repeat of the event continued. Now, at the time of Negro History Week's launch, Woodson contended that the teaching of black history was essential to ensure the physical and intellectual survival of blacks within broader society. He said, if a race has no history, it has no worthwhile tradition, it becomes a negligible factor in the thought of the world, and it stands in danger of being exterminated. The American Indian left no continuous record. He did not appreciate the value of tradition, and where is he today? The Hebrew keenly appreciated the value of tradition, and is attested by the Bible itself. In spite of worldwide persecution, therefore, he has a great factor in our civilization. Now, in 1929, the Journal of Negro History noted that with only two exceptions, officials with the state departments of education of every state with considerable Negro population had made the event known to the state's teachers and distributed official literature associated with the event. Churches also played a significant role in the distribution of literature association with Negro History Week during its initial period, with the mainstream and black press aiding in the publicity effort. Throughout the 1930s, Negro History Week countered what the growing myth of the South's lost cause, which argued that the enslaved people had been well treated and that the Civil War was a war of northern aggression and that the black people had been better off under slavery. Woodson wrote in his book, The Miseducation of the American Negro, when you control a man's thinking, you do not have to worry about his actions. You do not have to tell him not to stand here or go yonder. He will find his proper place and will stay in it. Negro History Week grew in popularity throughout the following decades, with mayors across the United States endorsing it as a holiday. Well, black educators and black United students at Kent State University first proposed the Black History Month in February of 1969. This first celebration of Black History Month took place at Kent State a year later, from January 2nd to February 28th, 1970. 6 years later, the Black History Month was being celebrated all across the country in educational institutions, centers of black culture, and community centers, both great and small, when President Gerald Ford recognized Black History Month in 1976 during the celebration of the United States bicentennial. He urged Americans to seize the opportunity to honor this often neglected accomplishments of black Americans in every area of endeavor throughout history. Now, in the black community, the creation of Black History Month was met with enthusiastic response. It had prompted the creation of Black History clubs and increase in interest among teachers, interest from progressive whites, and since its inception has expanded beyond the initial acceptance in educational establishments. Carter Woodson's organization, now known as the Association of the Study of African American Life and History, designates a theme each year. For example, last year's Black Health and Wellness in 2022 focused on medical scholars, healthcare providers, and the health outcomes. The Wall Street Journal described Black History Month as a time when the culture and contributions of African Americans take center stage in a variety of cultural institutions, including theaters, libraries, and museums. Now, Black History Month has garnered attention from the U.S. business community as well. In 2018, Instagram created its first Black History Month program with the help of the head of global music and youth culture communications, Chavon. Instagram's Black History Month program featured a series of first-time initiatives, including a Black Girl Magic partnership with Spotify and the launch of Celebrate Black Creatives program, which reached more than 19 million followers.
Interesting.
Yeah, in February 2020, many American corporations commemorated Black History Month, including the Coca-Cola Company, Google, Target Corporation, Macy's, United Parcel Service, and Under Armour. In February 18th, 2016, 106-year-old Washington, D.C. resident and school volunteer Virginia McLaurin visited the White House as part of the Black History Month. When asked by President Barack Obama why she was there, McLaurin said, "A black president, a black wife, and I'm here to celebrate black history. That's what I'm here for." Now, over in the UK, Black History Month was first celebrated in 1987. That year was recognized as the African Jubilee, coincidentally the year of the 150th anniversary of the Caribbean emancipation, the centenary of the birth of Marcus Garvey, and the 25th anniversary of the Organization of African Unity, an institution dedicated to advancing the progress of African states. Black History Month in the UK was organized through the leadership of Ghanaian analyst Akiba Adai-Sebo, who had served as a coordinator of special projects for the Greater London Council, and created a collaboration to get it underway. The first Black History Month celebration in the UK was held in London on October the 1st, 1987, when Dr. Mololanda Karenga from the U.S. was invited to an event by the Greater London Council about black people's contributions to history. Some institutions have faced criticism for supporting Black History Month with images of people from British backgrounds, using the term black to refer to political blackness, encompassing all people of color. In Germany, in Berlin in 1990, members of the black German community began observing Black History Month. These celebrations spread to other German cities. Programs have included discussions of Black Europeans, international African perspectives, the history of civil rights in the U.S., and apartheid in South Africa. Canada, in 1995, following a motion by politician Jean Augustine, represented the riding of Etobicoke Lakeshore in Ontario, Canada, in the House of Commons, officially recognized February as Black History Month and honored Black Canadians. In 2008, Senator Donald Oliver moved to have the Senate officially recognize Black History Month, which was unanimously approved. Canada
Wow.
Yeah.
Who knew that they could all vote the same way?
Everybody.
Who knew that was possible?
Yeah. Canada defines the festivity as an opportunity to celebrate the achievements and contributions of Black Canadians and their communities who have done so much to make Canada a culturally diverse, compassionate, and prosperous. The Republic of Ireland, at the Great Hunger Institute at Quinnipiac University in Connecticut, notes Black History Month in Ireland was initiated in Cork in 2010. This location seems particularly appropriate, as in the 19th century the city was the leading center of abolition, and male and female anti-slavery societies welcomed several Black abolitionists to lecture there, including Charles Lennox Remond and Frederick Douglass. Now, France, Black History Month was first organized in 2018 in Bordeaux. Since then, there have been celebrations in Paris, Le Havre, Guadeloupe, La Rochelle, and Bayonne. And in 2022, the month was dedicated to Josephine Baker, a dancer and member of the French Resistance during World War II, born in the United States. Now, in Africa, in 2020, Black History Month was celebrated in 7 African countries for the first time. Participating countries were Benin, Burkina Faso, Chad, Ivory Coast, Comoros, Senegal, and Cameroon. The event was initiated by the organization Africa Mondo, founded by Melina Seymour, and from 2021 onwards, an African History Month will be celebrated in March. They get a full month. Now, some of the other developments, it says, when first established, Black History Month resulted in some controversy. There were those that believed Black History Month was limited to educational institutions, questioned whether it was appropriate to confine the celebration to just 1 month, as opposed to integration of Black history into the mainstream education for a whole year. Another concern was that, contrary to the original inspiration for Black History Month, was the desire to redress how American schools failed to represent Black historical figures as anything other than enslaved people or colonial subjects. Black History Month could reduce the complex historical figures to overly simplified objects of hero worship. The critics referred to the celebrations as a form of racism. Actor and director Morgan Freeman and actress Stacey Dash have criticized the concept of declaring only 1 month as Black History Month. Freeman noted, "I don't want a Black History Month. Black history is American history."
True. I do. I think that it's nice to specialize 1 month where they focus on it, but it does need to be throughout the whole year, not just that's it.
Right.
You get that one little.
Singling things down to a single month is like, okay, well, we've got past this month. What are we going to celebrate next month? You think about everything that different groups of people have done in history, and all of a sudden, well, now we don't have to celebrate it. There are the other 11 months. No, keep the information flowing. Now, interestingly enough, here they have a list. These are the themes that Black History Month selected by the ASALH. In 1928, the first one was Civilization, a World Achievement. 1929, Possibility of Putting Negro History in the Curriculum. 1930, Significant Achievements of the Negro. 1931, Neglected Aspects of Negro History. 1932, What George Washington's Bicentennial Commission Failed to Do. 1933, Ethiopia Meets Error in Truth. 1934, Contributions of the Negro in Poetry, in Painting, and Sculpture, and in Science. 1935, The Negro Achievements in Africa. 1936, African Background Outlined. 1937, American Negro History from the time of importation from Africa up to the present day. 1938, Special Achievements of the Race, Oratory, Drama, Music, Painting, Sculpture, Science, and Inventions. 1939, Special Achievements of the Race, Religion, Education, Business, Architecture, Engineering, Innovation, and Pioneering. 1940, Negro Labor. 1941, The Career of Frederick Douglass. 1942, The Negro in Democracy. 1943, The Negro in the Modern World. 1944, The Negro and the New Order. 1945, The Negro in Reconversion. 1946, Let Us Have Peace. 1947, Democracy Possible Only Through Brotherhood. 1948, The Whole Truth and Nothing But the Truth.
So help me, Bob.
1949, The Use of Spirituals in the Classroom. 1950, Outstanding Moments in Negro History. 1951, Eminent Negroes in World Affairs. 1952, Great Negro Educators, Teachers. 1953, Negro History and Human Relations. 1954, Negro History, A Foundation of Integration. 1955, Negro History, A Contribution to America's Intercultural Life. 1956, Negro History in the Era of Changing Human Relations. 1957, Negro History. 1958, Negro History, The Factor of Nationalism and Internationalism. And, the thing that's the ongoing focal point, which is pretty cool, is a lot of this bases on history to keep that history alive. A basis of new freedom, evaluates the emancipation, a new birth for freedom, freedom and democracy for the Negro after 100 years, from 1861 to 1961, freedom's foundations, freedom from racial myths and stereotypes through Negro history in the home, school, and the community, the centennial of the 14th Amendment, Afro-American History Week in 1968, changing the Afro-American image through history, the 15th Amendment and the Black America in the century. That right there was from 1870 to 1970. African civilization and culture, a worthy historical background. Some of these assignments I wouldn't mind checking out. Of course,
Right.
I wasn't alive yet.
Oh, no.
Biography illuminates the Black experience, helping America understand, fulfilling America's promise, Black History Month. 1976, America for All Americans. There would be a heck of a topic.
I like that one.
Yeah. Heritage Days, the Black Perspective, the 3rd Century. Roots, Achievements, and Projections, History, Torch for the Future. Heritage for America. 1981's Black History, Role Model for the Youth. 1982, Afro-American Survival. 83, Afro-Americans in the United States. 84, Afro-Americans in Education. 85, Afro-American Family. 86, Afro-American Experience, the International Connection. Afro-Americans and the Constitution, from colonial times to the present. Constitutional statuses of African Americans in the 21st century. 89 was African Americans in religion. So every year they would take a topic and they would use that as the focal point for that month. This one here would have been kind of cool to listen in and read some of the paperwork on 1995. Reflections on 1895, Douglas, Dubois, and Washington. 1996, they have Black Women. 1997, African Americans and Civil Rights, a reprisal. 1998, Black Business. 1999, Legacy of African American Leadership for the Present and the Future. 2000, Heritage and Horizons, the African American Legacy and Challenges for the 21st Century. So it, started out with humble and small beginnings, and now it is a widely attended, listened to, and a good sounding point for, not only the United States, but around the world. So
What's interesting is I didn't realize we weren't the only ones who, or that we were, how am I trying to word this?
we weren't the only people on the planet to look at Black History Month?
Yes.
Yeah.
I guess I always kind of assumed that it was an American thing, but it's kind of nice that it's not just an American thing.
Well, the fact is, we put the seeds in the ground and watered it, and everybody else wanted to come over and try it too, and it still grows to this day. But the thing to look at is that there is a lot of things that Black history. It's a proud history, and now that we're actually able to shine some light on some of the things that have happened, it's good to learn. So. But
What? Learn?
Learn, yes.
We don't learn anything here.
Are you sure?
Yes. And nothing...
But this has been Joe, the Blood Files. If you have a particular Black history story you'd like to share, go ahead and throw it in our comments. I do love to read comments. But you folks have a good one, and we will see you next week.
Good night, everybody.